Hey, college wrestling fans, this is Johnny Thompson, number one. We have a guest today, NAIA national champion David Rubio of Corban. Thank you for being on the show today, David.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here.
So, David, one of the things I want to talk to you about today is you got kind of a late start into the sport of wrestling, started your freshman year of high school, and yet you were able to develop the skills and talents that you needed to end your career in high school as a state champion for McKay High School. How do we go from stepping on the map for the first time as a freshman to winning a state title as a senior?
Yeah, I think it was just I'm a product of just the investment that those coaches I had in high school. They invested a bunch in me and they just believed in like my work ethic. So like I knew that I had to, kind of seize that gap a little bit because a lot of people they start wrestling at such a young age, especially in our sport, right? They'll start at such a young age. So I just knew that I needed to catch up somehow. So I just invested so much time in spring and summer wrestling where I was like, maybe I'm not the most technical, but you know what? I'm gonna make you work for that win. When you're wrestling me, and just remembering who you are when you're wrestling me. So, and just having a passion for the sport. I just fell in love with the sport right away. Growing up, I was always intrigued by combat sports, and I was a big WWE fan when I was growing up as well. So,
That makes
it's a
two of
little bit,
us.
yeah, it's a little different wrestling, right? But
Yeah.
just the storylines and I don't know, just having that charisma and all those things. I think like it kind of just like shaped me to who I was, and I was like, I have a self belief in myself, and also feeding off of the coaches that invested so much time and belief in me. I was like, how can I not succeed?
And speaking of success, you take that success and you decide to stay at home right there in Salem and wrestle for Corbin, which is still, even to this day, a relatively young team.
Yeah.
And you become the superstar of Corbin Wrestling. You're the trailblazer, the very first four-time All-American, the first NAIA national finalist, and then this year, the very first NAIA national champion. What does it mean to you to be the face of Corbin Wrestling in that way?
Um, yeah, that's a very good question. I think that prospect of being the first to do something was just always spoke to me, and that's why I committed to Corbin. That was only the only school that reached out to me when they launched that program under Keegan and Strider Davis. They reached out to me, they saw me compete, and then they kind of just, communicated to me that I could be a hometown hero. And that's what I wanted to do for all the people in the Salem Kaiser area where Corbin is, and in just Oregon wrestling alone. I just wanted to be the first to do something. So I set out my mind at a very, young age at like 18, be like, I want to be the first All-American, first national champion at that school. So, it's always nice to be the first one to do something and just set that, set the way for future generations that are going to come through the mat room at Corbin.
Um, you know, when you were at Corbin, you had all of these great accomplishments. You win the Cascade Collegiate Conference title as a sophomore and as a junior. This year, you get set in the finals. I'm curious to know if the
Yeah.
loss in the finals did that actually help you going into the NAIA national tournament this year?
Yeah, I won it three times. So I won it three times. I
Well,
was
as a
going for my
freshman,
fourth.
I'm sorry, I thought you got there as a freshman. I'm
No, no,
sorry.
it's yeah, no. The COVID messes everything up, right? So
Sure
it's just
does.
hard to yeah, it messes everything up. So I redshirted my freshman year, and then COVID happened. So I got like a bid to nationals, but I didn't qualify per se. It was just like a bid based on like accolades and stuff like this. So it was a weird year. So I don't blame you, but I won it my freshman year, and then sophomore year, and then I won it my junior year. And the Cascade Conference is just a tough tournament, like every year. Like I remember my freshman year. I went through the previous national finalists in the finals, a previous All American, and then Bryson Leong in the quarters, who was a national champion. So it was just like, I think it shaped me after each of those tournaments, just shaped me like, okay, I know I can compete at the national level. But, this year in the finals, I faced Aaron Gondara, who's I beat last year because he was going to be a four-timer as well, four-time conference champion, but I upsetted him in the I guess upset or just beat them in the semis in the conference tournament last year. But this year it was kind of like a redemption win. I beat him in December in triple overtime. So he was training for me. So, props at him and Southern, but they peaked him for the right time to beat me at the conference tournament. And, my coaches told me like, um, people like to see those upset wins, those like ooh and ah moments. So it was the whole crowd against David Rubio at the conference tournament, right? And it's there's no animosity towards it. It's just that's the sport. You want to see those big wins, those upsets. Oh, he's going for his fourth conference title. Let's see if whoever can do it to step on until the line just beat him. So I think it did help me because I remember vividly Coach Harris is just a great mind for the sport and just like he gets you ready and in the right state of mind. He just told me flip the script. This is just a qualifier. And he just reminds us like at the end of the day, that's just a qualifier for the national tournament. So, he just told me flip the script because Coach Ritchie, who's at SWAC right now, but he was at Southern Oregon, Hall of Fame coach and all those things. He told him flip the script, and that's what he told me as well. And I was like, okay. And it sucks because obviously you have goals as an athlete. You have these goals set, and you're like, I want to be a four-time conference champion. I want to win outstanding wrestler at the conference tournament, at the national tournament. So it is like bittersweet because you want to accomplish those goals as that you set out for yourself, but that doesn't define you. And I think we do a good job at kind of just preaching that to each other, like, hey, we're not going to be defined by this. Let's see how good we can get. So it prepped me before that because it took a little bit of I guess, stress away because I probably would have been the number one seed at nationals and ended up being I think Donald Griffin from Central Methodist. So me and Gondar were on the same side of the bracket. And I was like, okay, this is, working out how I want it. I can get a semifinal against Gondara again and get that match back. And I love that as a competitor. I want to see how I respond. How do I respond to that adversity? Things going to go my way at the conference finals. Let's see how I respond in March.
So we're talking a lot about your success on the individual level, but this year alone, you guys, Corban had the best finishes I think they've ever had. You guys got third at the Cascade Collegiate Conference, and then an eighth place finish at the NAIA Nationals. Talk about what it felt like to succeed on that level as a team.
Yeah, I think it's just awesome to see. I mean, everyone's working together. Coach Harris, Coach Haddon, they understand that, for a team to succeed, you got to have that chemistry with each other. You got to trust each other. You're battling for that guy next to you, the guy that's pushing you in the mat room. But, communicating that bonus points are big. Bonus points are big in a tournament setting. You got to be able to pick up those bonus, whether it's a major attack or, those pins. And, he just does the math for us. And it just puts us at ease. Like, okay, if you're within striking distance of a major, push yourself a little bit, see how good you can get in that match. So it's just awesome to see that everything's kind of clicking for everybody. Everyone's buying into the program and everyone's just really coachable. At the end of the day, you can have an athlete that's really, really good, but at a team level, if everyone's not coachable and, no one's following through what we're selling and what Coach Harris is selling, then, you're not going to have much success, but everyone buys into that program. And, I think that's why you're seeing leaps and bounds at the national level, like the success. So I think we had like the most All-Americans as well this year we've ever had, multiple conference finalists, multiple conference champs. So it's fun to see, especially like growing up, going through that high school level. My team, we didn't have much success. We've had individual success, but it was just different for me as well. I was like, whoa, like everyone's firing off all cylinders and seeing that team, chemistry with each other, having fun, going out there and scoring points. It was just really, really enjoyable.
You've already spoken about them a couple of times already. You have two great coaches in Nolan Harris and Kerry Haddon. And one of the things that I've noticed as a fan and media guy, whatever people refer to Johnny Thompson #1 as, is he has a contagious enthusiasm. Coach Harris does. I mean, I don't know if you've ever spent any time going to other college wrestling websites and looking at people. There are times like when you go to type in blah, blah, blah university, and you want to be like, okay, who do they have at 157, 165? they'll have the kid's name, no picture, no information. Now, Coach Harris, on the other hand, he has your favorite flavor of Kool-Aid, your
Yeah.
favorite restaurant, all that stuff. He has such a, like I said before, such a contagious enthusiasm for the sport.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about him, what's been like competing for both him and Coach Carey Hatton.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Harris he's a character, and it's all in the good reasons, he's passionate about the sport. He's a student of the sport. He loves mentoring young men and, getting them to that next level. But he also understands at the college level, you're selling a product out there, right? And that's whether that's catering to recruits, whether that's catering towards donors, he's catering towards the fans and all those things. So, we live in such an age where social media is just such a relevant part of our lives. So you got to tap into that. So, I remember like 3 years ago, he just like got into like editing with his videos and stuff like that. And when Harris is on something, he's just fully committed to it. So, you see that a lot in our social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook. He's selling that product to everyone who's buying into the program because people want to see, what's Corbin wrestling up to? What's that success like? Like, what are some of the athletes? How are they doing in their season? So Coach Harris he just understands, that at the recruiting level, people are going to be looking you up if they're interested in your program. And for fans, he's just like he's tapping into that. Like, we want to know who that wrestler is that's having so much success. What what drives them? What do they believe in? So he just understands that, that marketing level of wrestling, and he's a good guy. I remember he coached against me in high school as well. So my we're in the same conference. So I faced one of his athletes in the state finals, beat him, and then the next year, Carey and Coach Harris coached against me in the state finals as well. So that's a story we like to tell. So when he took over the program, my sophomore year, it was like, okay, this guy beat me, but it's also like intriguing as well. Like this guy has the tools and he understands how to beat me. I want to be coached by a person like that understands, okay, this is how coaches are going to wrestle you. So how do we approach a match? How do we change our styles? And you usually don't change your styles, but you want to understand, what do I need to work on to make me a well-rounded wrestler and succeed?
So now the collegiate career of David Rubio has came to a close. Four-time All-American national champion. You were a criminal justice major in college and had the goal of being a police officer. So am I going to turn the TV on one of these days and hear the what you want, bad boys, bad boys? Am I going to hear that one of these days for Officer
What's
Rubio?
what's funny is I changed my major a couple years ago, so then I never updated or I never got the
Oh
update.
shoot!
But no, it's okay. Actually ended up graduating with a social studies education degree, so I'll be teaching. I'll be in the classroom instead.
All
So
right.
before trying to mentor high school or middle school, I don't know, adolescents. So just being in the classroom, and I just think that's what I'm a I grew in my faith a lot in college, so it's what I feel the Lord has called me to is just mentoring young athletes, and I'll be an assistant coach at Corbin as well. So I'll be sticking
That's
around and just giving back to the program. So I'm really excited just to learn from Coach Harris and Coach Haddon, and there's a lot more intricacies that you learn as a coach more than just technique. How do you get someone in the right state of mind? How do you build up your athlete, but how do you also toughen them up a little bit? So I'm excited to learn from Coach Harris, and I think we match it really well. So it's just a long-term goal of mine, just give back to the sport and just be a coach for a while.
you're going starting off as an assistant wrestling coach right now, and fortunately, we've seen some growth of wrestling out on the West Coast. I mean, we've got a couple
Yeah,
of new California teams. Cal Poly Humboldt reinstated their program. Evergreen State added a wrestling
yeah,
program. I think you guys even competed against them this year.
hmm,
And we have some other, without looking it up right now, wrestling is starting to grow. Washington,
yeah.
Oregon, California, Idaho, so on and so forth. Would you ever want to? I mean, you were a trailblazer at Corbin as a wrestler. I mean, think about the day of maybe becoming I don't even know who you would even say, like so and so were to add Walla Walla, for example. Maybe Walla Walla
Yeah.
University reinstates their wrestling program. But do you ever think maybe you might want to go that route and be the
Yeah, I
first
think
coach at the school?
Yeah, I think that's intriguing as well. Like I said, I like being the first to do something. But I think the long-term goal is, take over a program one day, and whether that's, whenever Coach Harris steps down, or, if another opportunity is presented to me that, I can't pass up, I think that I'd be open to it. But right now I just want to see how good I can get as a coach, how good I can, how much I can invest to others, that, how much was invested in me. Because you know, there's nothing like, having people who believe in you, and then, you all are able to experience that mountaintop experience together. So, coming up short twice in the finals, it was bittersweet, but, I wouldn't have wanted to go through that experience with anyone else than, my teammates, the coaching staff, because, it made it worth it at that third try and finally getting it done after two tries at it. So, you know, we'll see.
Well, David, on behalf of Johnny Thompson, number one, I want to thank you for being a part of the program today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we wish you the absolute best of success in both wrestling and in your life.
Hey, thank you. It was a pleasure to be on. I don't know how many interviews you've done so far, but I love what you're doing with the sport, and it's just awesome to see.
Appreciate it. Have a great day, David.
Hey, you too.